congrats on the film first and foremost, because it is just incredible.
Thank you so much.
So just to start off, what has it been like to finally have this movie out into the world and have it get the reaction from fans and the box office performance that it has?
It's been amazing. It's been so great. And yeah, God, we worked on it for so long in the ultimate vacuum, which was the COVID lockdown city of London. And so it's just cool to get to share it with everybody.
That's awesome. So as somebody who loves the multiverse in comics, I am well aware of how complicated and confusing it can often get. What was your biggest challenge that you faced with boiling down all of the possibility of the multiverse just into a movie?
Well, you don't want to overwhelm the audience. You can easily buckle under all of that. And in addition to the multiverse, this is a continuation of Wanda's story. It's a continuation of Steven's story. It's not a show like Loki where we had time to really live in these moments and explain them, slow play our explanation of all this stuff. We had to move fast. So it's about keeping it focused on the character and trying to find just the heart of it. And I guess the route that we took, I thought that the most interesting version of a multiverse story would actually be to fully invest in the reality of one alternate universe. Go there, really feel like it was a real place with real stakes and real characters and histories and everything, as opposed to what we did on Rick and Morty, which is more, you kind of hop from universe to universe and it feels a little more fast paced and comedic. We wanted to feel like the multiverse in the MCU, these are real places. And so that was what we tried to render on screen.
I love that. So kind of going off of that, are the Illuminati members are they supposed to be from the same universe, or is there a potential that they're from different universes? Because I know the way that Professor Xavier is presented in the film draws a lot of similarities to the X-Men cartoon. So are they all supposed to be from 838, or is it from across the multiverse?
I think they're all from all of those characters are from 838.
Awesome. And so kind of going off of that, the film delivers on things that fans have wanted to see on screen and in the context of the MCU for the longest time. Was there any challenge as a writer in finding the balance between fan service and what made the most sense for the story?
Of course, I guess it's easy to be seduced by the cheap laugh, the cheap cheer, whatever. But that's never what Marvel or Sam were interested in. It was always about what's right for the story, what's right for Stephen Strange, what's right for Wanda. And so it was never about fan service, really. It was like, if these Illuminati characters are here, it's because they should be here, because that's who's in the Illuminati in the comics. And that's who would actually be in the Illuminati. And so that was kind of our North Star.
I love that. And I know in previous interviews you've spoken about being a fan of Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. Kind of going from that to now collaborating with him directly, what was the most surprising part of that collaboration?
It wasn't a surprise that Sam was a delight, but I had the time of my life. Sam has become one of my dearest friends and my mentor. I guess I wasn't surprised, but at how much I learned about directing. I learned everything. It felt like everything there is to learn from him over the course of this. And so I had so much fun. For a movie this hard, this big, it shouldn't have been as much fun as it was, but we had so much fun the whole way through.
That's great to hear. So did you feel any pressure in being the person who kind of introduces the Fantastic Four and the X-Men and the elements from that into the MCU?
I can't confirm or deny any specifics of that stuff yet, but I mean, I try not to think of it as me being the one introducing them. We're all doing it together. Everybody in that sequence, it's a collaboration with Sam, of course, with the actors. Yeah, I'm just trying to give them a great foundation to come in and bring this stuff to life, and geez, they all knocked it out of the park.
I love that. So one of the biggest theories that fans had going in was that Deadpool was somehow going to be involved with the movie. I know people were like trying to find him on the poster and like really over analyzing that. Was that ever a consideration to put him in the movie or in a post-credit scene, or was that just off the table?
Yeah, we talked about it. It was I think we talked about everything in this this movie. So would have been crazy to not raise that, but it ultimately didn't feel like it just didn't feel like the right place. But yeah, of course we talked about it.
Awesome. And then kind of going into the post-credit scenes, I love Clea, as a huge fan of Clea in the comics. What was it like kind of introducing her, and what do you think she now brings to the movie, like into the MCU as a whole?
Charlize, she's badass. I mean, it's awesome. It's so cool. I was so excited. It's dream casting for that character. And I felt like we needed to close the book on Doctor Strange and Christine Palmer's relationship. And I feel like she advances him as a character when she tells him to not be afraid of loving someone, of letting himself be loved. And that's what opens the door for him to finally meet his great love from the comics in Christine. And so, she's every bit his equal. And I just think they have an amazing dynamic in the comics. And so I'm excited to see how that plays out in the future.
I love it. And then this film kind of, with Clea and just on his own, it has a very personal and very heartfelt storyline for Stephen Strange as a character, not even taking into account like where he could go in the MCU. Just from a personal standpoint, where do you think he goes from here as a character? How do you think he's changed by the experience of the film?
The multiverse has forced a mirror up in front of his face and has made him do some self-reflecting that I think he's refused to ever do. Even when he got into that initial accident, instead of really thinking about who he was, instead he went and just became the most powerful sorcerer alive. This is a guy who doesn't want to go to therapy. And so I think now there's been some forced self-reflection over the course of this adventure. And I think he's probably more capable than ever at working as part of a team, and who knows, maybe better suited than ever to really be an anchor of the Avengers and everything moving forward.
That's perfect. And then
he's also got that third eye. So
absolutely.
That bad news. So who knows?
I did want to ask about the third eye. Is that supposed to be kind of a connection to What If, of like how he absorbed all of the other monsters and stuff, or is that supposed to just be its own weird magical thing?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the bill coming due. He possesses, as Wong says, you use the Darkhold to possess your own corpse. Surely there must be some fallout, and so it's a little bit of a throwback to the old Evil Dead ending. That groaner of an ending, or it's just like, oh my god, things turned out bad in the end. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what all that means for Stephen.